Hi, this is Shamrondi from Like Design Topics, and today's topic is a funny one. um, it can probably be bittersweet for some, and then for some people it's funny, it's entertaining. It's really about like attracting younger men and younger women, and I wanted to talk about that and what it looks like and how we're actually supposed to handle these kind of things. So earlier today I had a mentoring session, and I heard a story that triggered me. Okay, I heard a story that triggered me, and it made me also think about the outline I had already written for this vlog post, about dating and attracting younger men and younger women. Now, I'm not opposed to that happening. I totally date men that are younger than me. That's, and but I do take some time to try to like vet them and figure out what it is that they want. Okay, I don't mind if a younger man tries to date me. My ex-husband is he's younger than I am. Most of the women in my family, on both sides, they've always dated men that are younger than them. And it's not even just the people in my family. I think it happens quite often where I'm from, in Guyana. In the West Indies, it happens quite often. So that brings me to the next point of, I had taken a trip to Jamaica. And when I was in Jamaica, I traveled with a friend of mine, and she's older than I am. She looks great for her age, fantastic. And we had these admirers. These admirers were showing up. They are, they want to have conversation with you. They want to connect with you. They want to, hang out with you, that type of thing. And she and I had ended up having this conversation as well. And I think that there's a responsibility as the mature party when you come into contact with someone that is much younger. You got to understand, like, what is your role in that, right? Like, what is the need? What is it they need from you? Okay, because the greater sum of it is, most times it is some kind of nurturing that younger person is coming for. There's situations where older men, they have younger, they have mentees, young women mentees, and they need to govern themselves accordingly, right? I think that expectation of our male counterparts, it gets thrown to the wayside, and it's almost like we're not supposed to expect it of them. And then what happens is, there's people that have platforms, and they choose to talk about it, and then they themselves are, frowned upon. They're looked down on. People are, like, wondering, like, why are you having this conversation when you're saying things like, oh, men are terrible people. I mean, it comes from somewhere, right? It's a general statement, but it comes from somewhere. And a lot of the ill behavior that a lot of people participate in, that is what leads parents, men, when they become fathers of girls, and all of a sudden they become a stalker. All of a sudden they're like monitoring the calls that their daughters are having. They're going to the gun range, and they're going to practice, and they're carrying their firearm, and they got a gun in the car, and it's all of this stuff going on. It's because they know how their species is, right? There's many times where situations that happen, men will witness it, they'll catch wind of it, they'll hear it, and they would, most times you're not hearing them say, hey, maybe you shouldn't do that. That it's very little accountability expected of men amongst themselves. So I say all of that to say, because when I had that conversation earlier, I realized, and then it triggered me. It made me think about some experiences that I had. So if you're an older gentleman and you are mentoring, younger women, you need to govern yourself, and maybe make them outline. You know, like, what's the goal? How is it that I can really help this person? You know, how can I help them move forward in their career? You know, do I know enough about their career that I can actually give them any useful advice? And if you know somebody in your network that's better equipped to mentor that young woman, it's your duty to connect them. Right? It's your duty to connect them. In my networking, I meet younger guys all the time. And if there's somebody that I think they need to be connected to, I connect them to that person. Sometimes the exchange is just nothing more than a conversation. Sometimes it's a conversation that they want, to see that it's led somewhere else. But I have to recognize what is the purpose of me and that individual having a chat. A lot of times, and this is like many, many years of experience that I'm saying that, where sometimes a man just needs to have a conversation that he's not able to have at home with the person that he's with, and he's seeking guidance. But when it's a younger man and he's just looking for somebody to have some fun with, or it comes across as that's just the conversation he needs to have. He's looking for some kind of nurturing, and then we have the conversation. I do my share of nurturing, and then I send him on his way on his little tricycle. I send him back to wherever it is he came from. Okay. There's a gentleman friend of mine that's here on IG. He more has like content that's specific to the community and quite militant. And he and I were having a conversation one day, and he said, I spoke about this on my podcast, and I believe that women that are the mother of sons, they're like the best moms to date. If they're the best kind to date, right? And I know where he was coming from with that, because it's like, as you raise young men, you start to see certain cycles, and for me, it's a double-edged sword. It can be fun. I remember after I had separated from my marriage, I had an affair, right after. And it was with somebody that was younger, and he was fun. He was entertaining. We had a great time. The relationship never really ended. It just kind of like phased itself out. I moved away, and we were still in contact with each other. But, and then his love language is different than mine. So it's like, that doesn't really work in all hindsight or whatever. But I have recognized, and earlier I mentioned about, I went to Jamaica, and the conversation that I had with the young man there, it's a lot of times it's just nurturing. It's nurturing that people are looking for. And because, when you're a mother of boys, what happens is there's some behaviors that seem familiar, and we're a little bit more attuned, right? Because we have these little sons and everything at home. But for me personally, my experience has been like, if I'm seeing something replicated in a grown man, I have like zero tolerance. I have zero tolerance for the shenanigans. Like, what? You want to do what? Nah. Like, I'm not even allowing it, because if it reminds me in any way of my 7-year-old, it's like, oh no, I'm not cut out for this. I'm not cut out for it, and then I just leave it right where it is. And then there's just some young men that are bright, they're responsible, they understand their role. If roles are important to you, that doesn't really apply to everybody. Myself, I'm quite traditional when it comes to that, but it is what it is. So we have to really govern ourselves and choose to do things wisely. If you're a man and you are mentoring young women, you must see about how it is that you can meet with them, identify what their goals are, and make sure you guys are working towards the goal. And and don't try to be a hungry dog. Don't try to be a hungry dog. And then as a woman, you got to think, like, do you really want to be a cougar? I mean, cougar relationships, very few of those, have substance to them. Very few. And if you're looking for substance, then you may not, depending on how much more younger he is than you. But then there's some where, you're looking to have fun, and he's looking to have fun, and everybody has fun. And it's great. I am all for fun. I'm all for fun. but more than likely he has to eventually get back on his tricycle and go back to wherever it is that he came from. All right, so let's just be wise. This is Shamrani from Life Design Topics. I hope you have a blessed one. Take care.